In 1976, a 14-year-old kid with severe dyslexia, who had attended 15 different schools in just 12 years, walked into a Franciscan seminary. He wasn't there to become a movie star. He was there to become a priest. He lasted exactly 1 year before he was asked to leave, allegedly for stealing some beer from the monks. Now, picture telling that kid that one day he'd be strapped to the side of an Airbus A400M taking off at 250 miles per hour, or that he'd be the only person in history to sprint across the top of the Burj Khalifa. Today, we're talking about Tom Cruise. Most of you know him as the guy who refuses to age, the guy who does his own stunts, and the guy who saved the movie theater industry with Top Gun: Maverick. But underneath the aviator sunglasses and the million-dollar smile is a blueprint for discipline, courage, and an almost frightening level of persistence. We're going to look at how a kid who could barely read a script became the most dedicated professional in Hollywood. The Boy Who Ran. Tom's early life wasn't a red carpet. It was a track meet where he was always running from something. He grew up in near poverty with a father he described as a bully and a coward. Because his family moved so often, he was always the new kid getting picked on. He didn't have the cool factor back then. He had a massive gap in his front teeth and struggled so much with dyslexia that he was placed in remedial classes. He felt like an outsider looking in. But here's the first major lesson. Tom Cruise didn't let his circumstances define his potential. When he realized he couldn't pursue wrestling due to a knee injury, he auditioned for a school play. He found that while he struggled to read the words, he had an incredible ability to feel the story. At 18, he gave himself a deadline, 10 years to make it as an actor. He moved to New York, waited tables, and studied the craft with a level of intensity that would make a marathon runner look lazy. The king of persistence. If you want to know the secret to Tom Cruise, it's this. He doesn't understand the word no. In the mid-2000s, the media tried to write him off. People said he was done, that his time had passed. Did he retire to a private island? No, he doubled down. He decided that if he wanted people to come to the movies, he had to give them something they couldn't see anywhere else. Think about Mission Impossible, Fallout. During a stunt where he had to jump between buildings, he hit the wall and shattered his ankle. You can actually see it break in the movie. Does he stop? No. He gets up, limps past the camera to finish the take, and then goes to the hospital. That isn't just toughness. That is a refusal to let a setback dictate the outcome. The discipline of a pilot. We often think of talent as a gift. Tom views it as a job. He is famous for being the first person on set and the last to leave. For Top Gun: Maverick, he didn't just show up and fly. He spent months designing a grueling training program for the younger actors so they could handle the G-forces of real F-18s without throwing up on camera. He lives by a code of constant learning. He's a licensed pilot, a skydiver, a scuba diver, and a high-speed driver. He treats every day like he's a student. He once said, "I don't do anything half-speed as a person." This quote is the heartbeat of his career. It means that whether you are flipping burgers or filming a $200 million movie, your effort should be 100%. Anything less is a waste of your time. Words to live by. To understand the mindset of a man who jumps off cliffs for a living, we have to look at what he tells himself when the cameras aren't rolling. I've never agreed with people who say you learn more from your failures than from your successes. I think you learn from your successes. Meaning, don't dwell on what went wrong. Study what you did right and figure out how to do it even better next time. I don't care who you are. Life has challenges. Meaning, he acknowledges that money and fame don't shield you from struggle. The struggle is universal. The response is personal. I'm an all-in kind of guy. Meaning, commitment isn't a buffet. You can't pick and choose when to be disciplined. You're either in the game or you're on the sidelines. Work for it. Don't just hope for it. Meaning, hope is not a strategy. Action is the only thing that moves the needle. I've always had the same work ethic. I've always been the first one on the set and the last one to leave. Meaning, reliability is a superpower. If you are the hardest worker in the room, you are impossible to ignore. The human side and the hair. Now, we have to address the humor. Tom is a guy who takes his work seriously, but he's also a guy who jumped on Oprah's couch because he was happy. He's a guy who, in Tropic Thunder, wore a bald cap and a fat suit to dance like a maniac as Les Grossman. He's also a guy who is obsessed with his hair. There's a fun legend in Hollywood that Tom has a hair clause, or at least a very specific way it has to look. But during the filming of The Last Samurai, he spent 2 years learning Japanese and Bushido, the way of the warrior. He was so disciplined that he almost got his head chopped off by a mechanical horse during a stunt. His reaction? He checked if the camera got the shot, adjusted his hair, and asked to do it again. Why this matters to you. So, why am I telling a room full of young people about a 60-year-old guy who jumps out of planes? Because most of you are facing your own dyslexia. Maybe it's not a learning disability. Maybe it's a lack of confidence, a difficult home life, or the fear that you aren't talented enough to reach your dreams. Tom Cruise teaches us that interest is not the same as commitment. Everyone is interested in being successful. Very few people are committed to the discipline required to get there. He didn't become a legend because he was the tallest, the smartest, or the most naturally gifted. He became a legend because he was the most disciplined. He decided that good enough was an insult to his potential. Conclusion. As you leave here today, I want you to think about your own mission impossible. What is that goal that seems too high, that dream that people tell you is unrealistic? Don't wait for permission to be great. Don't wait for someone to tell you that you're ready. Tom Cruise wasn't ready to climb the Burj Khalifa. He trained until the impossible became just another Tuesday at work. Be the first one there. Be the last one to leave. Put in the work when no one is watching. And most importantly, when life tries to throw you off the side of the plane, hold on, climb back in, and finish the scene. Your life is the greatest movie you will ever make. Don't let anyone else hold the camera. Go all in.